he's almost a metaphor in the song, right? Most people don't come to the song knowing him at all or very much, and it almost doesn't matter because Dylan's creates him.
Absolutely. Absolutely, that's how I came to it. I mean, when I heard the Dylan song bootlegged long before it was officially released, and when I heard it, I naturally wondered, well, how does Blind Willie McTell sing the blues, or indeed sing anything else? And I was rather stereotypically expecting a kind of howling wolf type figure, and actually. When I heard him, he had more of a sweet tone like Roy Orbison than Howling Wolf. So that was the first thing, and I was so intrigued that I just wanted to research him. I mean, I wanted to find out what was known about him as a man and his life and his times, and what I found was a shockingly small amount of stuff that had ever been published, which is why I got into the business of writing the book. The book is not only his story, but the story of getting his story. And that's because it was so difficult to get. I couldn't just go to somebody else's book or an encyclopedia of the blues or any of that sort of thing. All I could do was find out where he was born as best I could and take it from there. It isn't until 1993 that Dylan records a McTell song, Broke Down Engine Blues, which is on World Gone Wrong. But before that, even in the Born Again phase, he brings a little phrase of McTell's into one of the songs about this woman, his woman, who she can really do the Georgia crawl. That phrase, she can really do the Georgia crawl, straight out of a McTell song, a secular song, of course. I mean, one of the main things about Dylan's song, Blind Willie McTell, is about McTell's articulacy, isn't it? No one can sing the blues like this. And of course, in terms of technically of the voice, no one does. No one else sounds like Blind Willie McTell. But, it goes deeper than that, doesn't it? I mean, he's talking about McTell's ability to create a requiem, if you like, to pay tribute to what's lost, to what's gone, and it's refocusing on the loss, using the blues as a form of lamentation. As you say, he's Dylan is bringing in a huge range of things into this song. The arrow on the doorpost, many martyrs falling in East Texas. There's just loads of stuff in this. These are all things which are lamentable, if you like.
But this is a song that I think you don't have to dive deeply into to feel like it's special, meaning it just sounds interesting and compelling. It's highly differentiated, even in the vastness of Dylan's
Yes,
catalog. It feels important before you know anything else about it. It really is a special song before introspection.
absolutely it is. And I think I say in the book that it's the most important spooky song since Elvis Presley's Heartbreak Hotel. And that's something to do with the sound quality, isn't it? As well as the mysteriousness of the narrative. As you say, you can hear it without at all worrying about what it means, and it does strike you immediately as a special thing. In the case of the Dylan song, the first narrator is just an owl, and the second narrator is saying he hears the owl, just like in the other songs, someone hears the dying person. I heard that hoot owl singing as they were taking down the tents. The stars above the barren trees was his only audience. But it wasn't, was it? Because it was also heard by the person who sings the rest of the song, who starts with, I heard that hoot owl singing. Uh, in the case of the people from the Old Testament, who are referred to with the arrow on the doorpost, he's referring there to bits of Deuteronomy and Exodus. And the Exodus involves people moving. They're having to flee. It's an exodus. They're fleeing out of Egypt, and at another point in the song, people are falling in East Texas. I mean, they're being martyred too. And the arrow on the doorpost, you have to, in the biblical story, you have to mark uh, your doorpost with blood, so that the avenging angel, only kills Egyptians and not the Jews. And the arrow, as opposed to the blood, is more like, from the Deuteronomy story, in which people just put a sign on their door to prove that they're God-fearing, righteous folk. Another way in which he jumps around is, when he comes to that God's in his heaven bit, because what what's being referenced there is a well-known poem by 19th century British poet Robert Browning. God's in his heaven, all's right with the world is part of that poem, and in that poem, Browning rolls backwards. In the book, I described the different steps in which it happens. But we start with spring and we end up with the morning and so on. We slide backwards. In the same way, quite a lot of this Dylan song is sliding backwards through American history. But
Let's listen to another excerpt from Song and Dance Man, Volume 2.
falsity, vanity, and corruption compound cruelty and pain. Everywhere people are fallen in chains under the whip in this maelstrom of history. I say maelstrom because though it's been said that Blind Willie McTell rolls backwards through America's past, in truth the song offers no such consistent reverse chronology, and its vision is not limited to American terrain, though it returns to it time and again, not least by the device of Blind Willie McTell's omnipresence. This may disappoint the need for neatness, but it is a strength of the song that most of its images evoke more than one era, more than one time and place, while pressing upon us time and again a running analogy between Old Testament and New World.
You talk a bit about those charcoal gypsy maidens strutting their feathers well.
Yeah, isn't that a great line? I mean, that's just and quite a brave line because you know the excessively woke police could be on him for that. It's charcoal maidens strutting their feathers well. I mean, but what does it evoke apart from the loveliness of the line itself, of the sheer beauty of the phrasing? What it evokes is a particular kind of medicine show showbiz, isn't it? It's part of that history of the ways in which Black Americans had to get by.
And it's interesting that rather pleasant evocation immediately precedes the plantations burning, cracking whips, and slavery ships. So we have a hard left
Yeah,
turn juxtaposition there.
yeah. Well, he goes. Those who survived the slavery ships, those who land in America, their slavery continues a very long time. And one of the ways out of slavery and the extremely racist regime that follows it, in which Blind Willie McTell lived his entire life. One of the ways out of that for a resourceful black person was, if you like, the entertainment industry in the 19th century and the 20th. And in the 19th century, um, medicine shows and carnivals and all the rest of it. Um, all that was a way of not having to stand behind a mule in the delta ploughing all day.
Hmm.
It's one of the ways in which McTell personify that resourcefulness. You know, he was lucky; he had a great talent, but he parlayed it with inspiring resourcefulness.
Then you point out that the next verse is about the tribes of moaning, which you point out again. We leave the continent and go somewhere else, perhaps in the illusion.
Well, and also, of course, as Dylan has done in other songs, he makes a parallel, doesn't he, between the tribes of Israel, the tribes of in the Old Testament, and the tribes of Black Americans, the tribes of Africans brought somewhere else. I mean, he does it in on the Christian albums, on the Born Again albums, doesn't he? He parallels these two great stories. That that photo that photo only exists because someone alertly spotted it on top of a pile that was put out for the junkman outside the offices of a magazine in New York City. A man called John Reynolds spotted it and rescued it, and it is the only photography studio photograph of Blind Willie McTell. It was taken for Victor Records in 1927.
Well, let's end with our final excerpt from Song and Dance Man Volume 2, available at Amazon.com on Kindle and in paperback. Here's Michael Gray on Blind Willie McTell.
The work of art, as ever with Bob Dylan, is the recording, not the words on the page. But the words on the page demand from Dylan and receive two of his most focused performances. Paying tribute to McTell's artistry, he rises to the occasion with the excellence of his own. What a song, you say, when you read the lyric. What a record, you say, when you hear the belatedly issued performance.